Hello and welcome back to Midweek Fixture. It's episode 20 today. Yes, 20 episodes. I can't believe it's been 20 episodes already. I'm Louis Selling, once again joined by Annabel Bassett. You all know Annabel by now. She's been in many episodes and will be in many more, I'm sure. Today, before we begin, apologies if I looked absolutely shattered. That is because I am. Just come back from a trip to Newcastle to watching Newcastle Brighton FA Cup game. Absolute scenes, fantastic win for Brighton, fantastic game for the neutral. I'm sure many Newcastle fans, after the initial emotions gone, will probably say it was quite a good game as well. But talking of cup competitions, we're going to be quickly, perhaps slowly, we shall see how it all goes, reviewing the Champions League games for, I say this evening, we're recording this on the Monday, but when it comes out it will be this evening. On the Wednesday, 4 games. But yeah, let's get cracking. How are you this evening, Annabel?
Yeah, no, I'm all good. Looking forward to the games on obviously Tuesday and Wednesday. We're discussing the ones on Wednesday. They've got some good ones in there. I believe you call it a rivalry or a derby, one of the two, for the Bayer Leverkusen game versus Bayern Munich. And of course, you've got some interesting ones as well. Final into Milan. And PSG Liverpool is the one that sort of sticks out to me because both teams are obviously cruising in their respective leagues. So yeah, it should be good.
But yeah, let's start with the 5:45 kickoff. That is, of course, perhaps a surprising team in the round of 16, considering who they beat in the playoff knockouts. That is Feyenoord, and they're playing what will Inter Milan would have set up a fantastic Milan derby if Milan had got the job done against Feyenoord. But of course, Feyenoord come through that with a fantastic 2-1 aggregate win against Milan. But yeah, thoughts on the game initially from you, Annabel?
Yeah, well, I thought, well, firstly to mention about obviously Feyenoord going through, it was their departed striker, I believe, who scored against them. So that was a bit of a story because he had moved to AC Milan and they just tipped it over the line. I think it was 2 red cards or something like that as well in the game. It was carnage. But yeah, Santiago Jimenez is their top striker this season. Obviously, he's left, top goal scorer, should I say. So yeah, it's obviously difficult for them without him. He moved in February time, I believe, January, February. But no, they've obviously got other players they can rely on. And as you said, it's a difficult stage for them to be in. We didn't perhaps expect them to be here. But Igor, I do not know how to pronounce his surname. Pikesal?
Paxal? Yeah.
Pikesal, there you go. Yeah, he's their second top scorer with 6 goals. Obviously, there's a big gap between 11 goals of what Jimenez had, and then obviously Pikesal. But it's still good and top assist as well for the club, so 7. So he's doing well this season. Again, these are league stats only, so don't know how they've fared in the Champions League, but I'm sure he's added more to his record as well. So yeah, he'll be one to watch for sure in that midfield. I admittedly haven't seen much of him. I don't really watch Feyenoord, but he'll be an interesting player to sort of observe. And then obviously you've got Osman as well, who's I believe a right winger. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. On
Yeah.
loan from
Oh, where is he on loan from? You're gonna have to tell me this. I did not know.
Brighton.
Is he? Okay, so you're seeing how he does, and then will you obviously bring him back hopefully next season
I hope
potentially?
so. I hope so. He hasn't really played that much for
Okay.
Feyenoord.
Yeah. No,
He's been in and out, but I
yeah.
mean, he looked really good for us in pre-season. He was really good for Norgeland. I think that I can't remember how. Can't
Yeah.
pronounce it. The Danish side, I believe. West Ham tried to get him. We brought him a year ago. So he stayed there for the second half of the season because we bought him on February the 1st. So the deal
Okay.
technically didn't go through until this summer,
Yeah.
but looked good in pre-season. Scored a brace. I think that's his first 2 goals. He's got a brace for them.
Yeah.
He looks good. Been in and out of the squad. A couple of injuries, but I like him. I think he's good. Different sort of profile to your
Yeah.
traditional winger. It's more
Okay.
of a. He's fast. He's a bit
Yeah.
more built than you'd expect. But yeah,
Mm.
he looks quite good.
Yeah. 2 goals, 2 assists, and as you said, he hasn't played many either. So hopefully he'll add more to that before he leaves in June. I think his contract ends. So yeah, hopefully he'll be making his way back to Brighton. As you said, it's a loan move. And then other players who sort of stick out as obviously their forward is Carranza. Carranza. I'm not sure how I'm
Mhm.
pronouncing that either. But he's Argentine, so we always know what an Argentine can do. As a City fan myself, we know what Sergio's done, and obviously Julian Alvarez now at Atletico. But no, so 4 goals for Carranza as well. So yeah, he's another prospect, obviously. But no, I don't know too much about Feyenoord. I think at the moment they're doing well in their league. They're third in Eredivisie, which is obviously the Dutch league, with 42 points. I think last year they came second, so not doing as well as prior, but potentially they'll change that around. But yeah, mixed form at the moment, I think, in the league. But to be sat third isn't poor at all.
No. But yeah, speaking out on the player side quickly, player
Yeah,
they brought in January,
yeah.
player I absolutely adore. Unfortunately, he got a really bad ACL injury when he was with Brighton, which sort of he can never get back into the side again.
No.
That is Jakub Moder, costing them about £1 million this January. All he
Wow.
come in has looked really good for them. I
Mm.
assume they've registered him for this phase
Yeah.
of the competition. I'd be surprised if they hadn't because he's looked really good the couple of games in the Eredivisie, but we shall see. Hopefully, from a bias perspective, he has an impact, but
Yeah.
even as a if you're neutral side, it's definitely one to watch out for because he has the potential. He's only 24, 25. He still
Okay.
has that potential to become a fantastic midfielder.
Yeah. Did you say 1 million though? That's not a lot. I was just
Yeah, it was
stuck out.
really, really cheap. Really
Yeah.
cheap.
Wow.
Because his
Impressive.
contracts, I think his contract was up in the summer, so it was a case of we'd rather just sell him now for
Okay, makes
a
sense.
million, 2 million than lose him on a free.
Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, that's mine on final. For Inter Milan, obviously they're first in Serie A with 57 points. They're sort of out ahead. And last season they won the title at Cantor. I've got here 94 points as averse to 75 from the team in second to them. So they're obviously quite a strong side in the Italian league, but obviously Champions League is a lot tougher. I know they've just won as well a quarter final in the Coppa Italia, 2-0 against Lazio. So they'll be coming in quite confident. Obviously, everything's going well, sort of in the league and in the other competitions. But no, the key players I've noted. Again, I don't watch Inter Milan often, but you always hear his name in the headlines. Lisandro Martinez, obviously, is their forward. I think
Yeah,
City were looking at him at one point, and lots of other clubs were interested. I think maybe Chelsea. Chelsea are interested in a lot of players.
yeah,
He's obviously got that caliber that the Premier League sort of wanted him at one point. Thuram as well. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name, but with 13 goals in 25 games, another top player for them, another forward. Bastoni and Barea as well. They're top with assists with 5. They were people I know. Their names sort of ring a bell to me,
yeah.
so I think they deserve a mention. But no, they've got a good squad. Pavard in midfield, Mkhitaryan. So yeah,
Bastoni with 5 assists
yeah.
as a
Is that
centre back.
yeah? As a centre back, I did literally note that as well. Back there, centre back. It's
Wow.
impressive, you'd say for sure.
I mean, he's a big player for them.
Yeah.
I It's difficult. I'd be surprised if there's not Premier League teams sniffing around for him
No.
in the summer. Definitely screams a Man United bid, in my opinion.
Mm. Okay. How old is he
Again,
roughly? Do we know?
he's not that old. Let me
Okay,
check.
like
But
25.
he'll be expensive.
Yeah.
No doubt he'll be expensive. He
Mm.
is. He is 25.
Oh, I got it bang on. That was a guess there. But yeah, okay, so, still got quite a lot of his career left. Plus, depends when players hit their peak. You've got different
Yeah.
players always hitting their peak at different times.
But
Benzema
he's
had an
Italian.
incredible career.
Italian, born and bred. Would he want to stay at Inter? I hope so.
Well, Man
Because I
United
like.
does tend to curtail people's careers, so you potentially wouldn't want that, as you said, Italian at heart as well.
Yeah, I like when players stay with their club that they've
Yeah.
been with. But if you compare the two teams in the league phase, final 19th, Inter Milan 4th, it looks a massive difference.
Yeah,
But the
it does.
points difference was only 6.
Interesting.
Goals wise, Feyenoord scored more. Feyenoord scored 20.
Yeah.
Milan scored 11. Goals conceded. Feyenoord conceded 22.
Oh, God.
Milan only conceded 1.
Mm.
Shots pretty even, 84 to 80. Shots on target, 38 to 33. Shots off target, 46 to 47. Block shots, 18 to 24. Possessions pretty similar as not possession, passing accuracy. Sorry, pretty similar as well. 81 for Feyenoord, 87 for Inter. So not that big of a difference on the stats, apart from the goals conceded and goals scored.
I was going to say, it sort of seems like Feyenoord have got more of an attacking threat, and then you've got Inter Milan with that strong, as you said, sort of pairing at the back with Barea and that. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting match in terms of what their different qualities are, as we said, attacking and defensive.
100%. Have you got a prediction for
Yeah, I was
this
going to say, have we got...
first leg?
I said 2-1 Inter. I think it'll be tight. Like, as you said, the points difference isn't actually as big as the positions in the table made it look in the league phase. Plus, I find it difficult comparing teams and their results in a league phase where you're not necessarily playing the same sides. It's so hard to sort of use that and predict. But yeah, no, I'd say a close win for Inter in that leg, especially because they are away.
Yeah, and overall from both legs, do you think Inter edge it through?
Yeah, I'd assume so. I mean, with the quality they have up top that we were discussing, with Martinez, obviously, and as you said, a strong back line. So I think they do get it done over the 2 legs.
I think this first leg home for final is going to be really, really important.
Yeah.
Inter obviously have the advantage with the away leg first, in my opinion. But I think Feyenoord might see out a 1-0 win in this first leg.
Nice. Yeah.
But and then a 2-1 Milan victory in the second leg. And
Oh.
then Milan edge it through. I think they will go through at
No.
the end of the day. But
Yeah.
Feyenoord can definitely cause an upset.
Yeah.
They have the quality there to do it.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It'd be an exciting one, I think, especially with the earlier kickoff. I think people don't necessarily prioritise those earlier games, but if you watch it and see what happens, as we said, it should be tight, especially in that first leg.
But then moving on now to the German game, absolutely huge game in the Bundesliga. This was a couple of weeks ago. Now in the Champions League, top of the league, Bayern Munich versus second in the league, Leverkusen. There's quite a hefty points difference in the Bundesliga, I believe, from first to second. Eight-ish, 8 to 11, something like that. Can't
Yeah.
exactly remember. But yeah, hit me. What's your initial thoughts on this one?
Yeah, no, it's 8 points. You were bang on. Bayern are top of the Bundesliga with 61 from 24 games, and Leverkusen are second with 53, I think that is. My font does not help me, it's in yellow. So struggling to read there. But yeah, about an 8-point gap. But obviously, they're the two top sides in Germany. I believe there's an intense rivalry there. Would you argue? I know you know more about Bundesliga than I do.
I mean, it's sort of similar to the City Arsenal argument
Oh, okay, yeah.
because Leverkusen's league win last year, the Invincible, I'm pretty sure was their first ever Bundesliga title,
Okay, yeah.
or it's definitely their first in a very, very, very long time. So there wasn't really a big
Rivalry there.
rivalry.
Yeah, it's growing. I get you with the sort of Arsenal thing. Plus, I don't think any of them have said "stay humble" yet to the other in German, so we'll see if that arises. But no, I think with this game, it's going to be tight. It's going to be really exciting. I think that sort of set us up with the league match they recently played, which was a 0-0 draw. It didn't seem like a 0-0 from when I was watching. It was a lot more exciting than the scoreline shows you. And we were discussing it because I know you're an avid fan of the Bundesliga, and we just said Leverkusen should have won that. So
Oh, big
Wirtz
time.
had a chance from close range and many others. So yeah, no, I definitely think for Leverkusen it is a tie they can definitely win. Bayern Munich potentially with like the bookies would be favourites, but as you said yourself, bookies don't necessarily know football because football isn't a game played on paper. But no, for this first leg, it's going to be important that Munich obviously start off well because they've got the home advantage first. But yeah,
It's a difficult one because obviously the league game by Leverkusen looked by far the better team,
yeah,
but Munich were happy just to see out the draw and get the point and keep their 8 point difference there.
yeah,
I like that Leverkusen have the away leg first because they
okay,
can take it back to the Bay Arena. Really important. I like the team that always has the away leg first. I think has a big advantage because, I mean, especially it was a bigger advantage when the away goals were a thing, but
yeah,
they've kind of ruined that now with all the new rules and stuff. Key players, Leverkusen. I
yeah,
mean, Grimaldo Frimpong fullback partnership is arguably the best in the world. Xhaka's really important in the midfield, holding midfield, obviously creating a bit as well, but balance in the midfield. Palacios, Alex Garcia, really important in there with Xhaka as well.
yeah,
Boniface hasn't played that much since the Saudi situation, but he's a big game player. He'll score you goals when you need. And then Bayern Munich, I mean, Harry Kane, Michael Elise,
yeah.
Upamecano, Neuer, Kimmich. There's so many players that Bayern Munich are just world class.
Yeah, and both teams are on a good run of form. I think they've each won 4 or 3 matches in the league in their last 5. So they're both coming into it sort of on equal ground in that regard and in confidence levels. And as you're saying with Elise, I think I had some stats. It's crazy that he doesn't just contribute with goals as well; it's the assists. So yeah, he has 8 goals and 7 assists in the league. So that's pretty impressive. And obviously Musiala, such a young, impressive midfielder that a lot of teams are sort of looking at probably for the summer for a move. He's got 11 goals. So yeah, they're definitely talents, and I believe obviously Musiala is very young as well. So
Yeah,
that's an
21.
exciting prospect for
Yeah.
obviously if they can keep hold of him for Bayern Munich. But I
The
don't know.
Musiala, the
Yeah,
Musiala Verts.
Oh yes, Saturday.
rivalry
Yeah,
is so good. I mean, I think they both stay in Germany for their careers, and I hope they do.
yeah,
I mean, I think they're both going to be priced out of a move as well from both sides, but it's definitely a battle to watch out for there.
yeah,
I mean, it pains me a little bit as a Brighton fan to say how good Michael Elise is, because
yeah.
he
I'll
is
get you, Palace.
world class.
Yeah.
He was world class at Palace, but people didn't really see that or say that because he played for Palace.
Mm.
His stats from Bayern to Palace aren't really that different.
Interesting. Yeah.
He's an exceptional player, and if anyone's going to be the match winner, in my opinion, it's going to be Elise,
Wow.
because you have Musiala, Verts, they sort of cancel each other out in terms of one having the advantage over the other. But the Elise, yeah, wow,
The
he's
quality.
an
Yeah.
incredible player,
You might
incredible
take
player.
it. Yeah, yeah. With Vert's stats though, it's incredible as well. Like 10 assists and then 9 goals. Again, he's someone who contributes across the board. He's not just someone who's a poacher or a finisher. He's also a
Yeah.
provider. So now it's going to be exciting. And as you said about Grimaldo at the back of Frimpong, I'm yet to watch them, consistently. So I'm looking forward to definitely watching this game.
Then we'll have a look at the head-to-head so far in the Champions League. Bayern Munich finished 12th, surprisingly. Leverkusen finished 6th, so Bayern had to go through the playoff knockouts against Celtic, which they
Yeah.
nearly lost.
Yeah.
They
Only.
nearly lost that.
Yeah.
Points-wise, though, Bayern had 15, Leverkusen had 16, so again, there's really no difference there.
No.
Goals scored, Bayern scored 23, Leverkusen scored 15, conceded, Bayern 14, Leverkusen 7, shots 155 to 102, on target 84 to 53, off target 71 to 49, block shot 63 to 30, passing accuracy, there is a 0.36 difference between the two, both of 90%. So again, Bayern favour all the stats by a little bit, even though they finished lower in the league phase. But
Yeah.
again, that's due to the opposition you play, so it's difficult to compare really.
Yeah.
But going into the game, who do you think the favourite is? What's your prediction for this leg? Who do you think wins overall and goes through to the quarter final?
Yeah, no, it's difficult to call. I think the favourites will be Bayern, as you're saying. They sort of edge Leverkusen on the stats. But again, football isn't a game played on paper. And I think a lot of people will back Bayern Munich to win the first leg at least. But I've actually gone for a 1-1 draw. I don't know why. I just feel like that could be on the cards. And then potentially if Leverkusen pull it off at home, they could knock out Bayern Munich.
Yeah, I think the first leg I can no. It's Bayern being at home first throws me off a little bit
Okay.
because I think Bayern will win the first leg 1-0.
Okay. Wow.
And then they will do exactly what they did in the league game and just defend.
Interesting.
They'll take the 1-0.
Yeah.
They'll be happy to take the 1-0. But Leverkusen win it 3-1
Yeah.
on aggregate.
I was going to say, because if you're going to sit back like that, and you said you're sort of happy to defend whether they sit back or not, it's sort of like you're going to concede anyway, like either way if you play your football or not. So, yeah, I wouldn't like to see that from Bayern. As you said, they are comfortable to do so like they did in the league game, but then you've predicted them, to go out on that regard, so hopefully they won't do that. But no, if a draw happens, it'll be a very interesting second leg, but obviously if the 1-0 happens that you've predicted, then Bayern could well sit back and defend sort of
I think, again, Leverkusen have the advantage with the home leg second. But we shall see. On to the third game of the Wednesday. Probably my pick of the matches, this one.
Yeah.
Benfica against Barcelona. The Nunes masterclass against Barcelona the last time this fixture happened.
Yeah.
Did he score 3, 4? I can't remember what it was. He scored quite a few. Unreal game. But yeah, your thoughts on this one heading into it this evening. Key players. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, well, obviously Barcelona are doing quite well in La Liga. Obviously they're first, but only just by a point over Real Madrid. So they've still got obviously that to focus on. So it's hard when you're sort of juggling two different competitions, especially as the league tends to be, players and teams' priorities. But no, Benfica are also doing well in their respective league. Of course, the quality difference you can sort of say is there between Liga Portugal and then obviously La Liga. But yeah, Benfica are second in their league with Sporting, I think, on the same points. So they're only second by goal difference. So again, it's been an impressive season for both teams. But coming into it, as you said, that league phase game sort of sets it up as an exciting prospect because it was a narrow 5-4 win, which I personally didn't see coming. As I've just mentioned, the sort of difference between the two leagues. But yeah, it was a crazy game. So potentially, if we see something like that again, that would, I'm sure, be welcomed by every sort of spectator and viewer watching. But yeah, for me, I think obviously Lewandowski sticks out as a player for Barcelona. Top goal scorer. I'm not sure if in the entire La Liga, but he's got 21 goals in 25 games, so that has to surely put him toward the top of the list. Rafinha, obviously, is another incredible player. 13 goals in 26 games, I think, and then 7 assists, which is the most for Barcelona. So again, he's sort of topping the stats in terms of provider and goal scorer. Dani Olmo as well, another one that sticks out for me. Obviously, the Spanish midfielder. 6 goals as well from a midfield position isn't bad. And Yamal, of course. I mean, he'll always stick in everyone's minds whether you watch him often or not from obviously his Euros campaign. What was an incredible performance from him, especially, was it France in the semi-finals? That goal he scored, that'll...
Hey, and England in the final.
Yeah, and and in the England, against England in the final, of course. I don't want to touch on that too much. But no, Yamal is another great prospect, 11 goals in 23 games. So they've all got the stats going for them for Barcelona. It's just if they can deliver over the two legs, which they'll need to do because it's going to be tough. Every game is now tough. And Benfica have, their own attackers. I wrote here, Angel Di Maria. I did not know he was at Benfica. He was previously at, was it PSG and then, was he? Yeah, it was just PSG, wasn't it? And then did he move to Benfica after that?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Oh, there might have been a couple of minutes. I can't remember.
There might have been a move in between. But
Yeah.
What a player for them to have. Such a big name as well. I'm not sure about his stats, but I'm pretty sure he'll be performing quite well in the league for them. And then I've got a name here who I wasn't even familiar with, Pavlidis, I believe.
Yeah, unreal Greek striker.
Yeah, is their top goal scorer. I know it's only 8 goals in 23 matches, but at least, he's sort of their forerunner in terms of the goals that you need from Benfica's perspective, and 4 assists too. So, yeah, potentially you can rely on him. And then a name, again, as a City fan, I used to watch Otamendi, and obviously he plays for Benfica at the back now. And I think it'll be for me, it's an interesting thing to consider in terms of Barcelona's youth and potentially pace up against Otamendi and co, who are obviously a bit sort of more old and obviously experienced. So that'll be an interesting battle for sure. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Louis?
The Di Maria went to Juve between PSG Benfica move.
Yeah.
Only had a year there. I mean, you've touched on all the key players.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in that 5-4, Benfica really threw that away. They really threw it away. They shouldn't have lost that 5-4.
Okay.
Some stupid mistakes. But you've touched on all the key players. Stats-wise, again, Barca finished 2nd. Benfica finished 16th.
Okay.
There was only 6 points different again. Barca scored 28, Benfica scored 20. Goals conceded, pretty much the same, 15, 13. Shots, 93 to 94. On target, 58 to 56. Off target, 35 to 38. Block shots, 44 to 34. Passing accuracy, Benfica was 81%. And Barcelona was 88%. But yeah, I mean, pretty even in terms of stats, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, Barca only just edge it.
But my winners come from this game of the whole Champions League.
Wow. Yeah? You think
But
Benfica
Barcelona,
go away if they beat Barcelona? You think Benfica go and win it?
No, because Barcelona are going to win 8-0 on aggregate.
8-0? Wow. What a cooling. To be honest, I mean, I wouldn't agree with 8-0 because that is obviously a very audacious prediction. But at the same time, you're sort of thinking that because of the 5-4, it was so narrow and high scoring. I actually think it might go the opposite way this time and be sort of more tight and low scoring. So that's interesting to go with 8-0. Yeah.
Barcelona are just going to blow them away across the two legs. 4-0 or 5-0, 3-0 across the two legs. Barcelona are going to win the Champions League.
Wow. I think they are one of the favourites for sure, aren't they?
They will show what they can do in this game. They will make themselves known in the competition. I mean, they finished 2nd, so a Barcelona-Liverpool final could be interesting. If they're not, I can't remember what side of the draw they're on, but I mean, if they're on the opposite side of the draw, that's my pick for final.
That's your final. That would be incredible. I'm not sure if they're on the same side of the draw, but yeah, as you said, that would be incredible whenever they meet. because they are the two sort of front runners in the competition. But no, for me, I think I predicted 3-0 for this leg. I didn't actually consider the second leg, where obviously Barcelona are at home, which gives them even more of an advantage. So potentially an 8-0 could be on the cards. But no, I'm going for a 3-0 for this first leg.
And then do you think Barcelona go through?
Yeah. I think so. I think comfortably, but maybe not as high scoring in terms of that frenzy, as I said, that we saw with the 5-4.
Yeah. And then on to the final game of the evening.
Yep.
Probably the biggest game in terms of club size in here. We have PSG against Liverpool. Liverpool absolutely dominated the league phase. They did lose the final game of the league phase. It was a crazy game. They probably weren't that bothered about losing it because it didn't really matter. And then PSG had to go through the knockouts again. Yeah, thoughts, key players.
Ooh.
Yeah, go for it.
No, there's a lot to unpack. As I said earlier, right at the beginning of this pod, I think both teams have sort of won their leagues at a canter. Obviously, it's not over yet, but when you're looking at the gap, I don't think any team is going to surmount or surpass them and take on a title charge, because that would mean that PSG and Liverpool would have to fall off some incredible form that they've been on. Obviously, PSG, I think it's 62 points. They're 13 points clear of Marseille, so that gap is incredible. And same with Liverpool, actually 13 points clear of Arsenal, but Arsenal do have a game in hand. But still a 10-point gap with not many games to go it's big. So, no, both teams, I think I was listening to a podcast on The Guardian, both teams have got this big clash coming up in the Champions League, which is obviously, such a big competition. But how do they turn it on from maybe being like a 7 out of 10, not even having to be maybe at their best in the league, to then having to put on an intense performance to try and get through this round of 16 leg? It's an interesting prospect because both of them are going to potentially struggle to sort of turn it up a notch if you're not used to it. But no, both teams are doing well. Obviously, I think both of them have won a lot of their last few games. Obviously, Liverpool had 2 draws and 3 wins in their last 5, whereas PSG have won all 5. So both are on a lot of confidence.
I mean, PSG have 2 7-0 wins in their last 5.
That's incredible. That could be a bad omen for Liverpool. But of course, again, you're talking about the standard of the opponent they face. PSG winning 7-0 against 2 teams are nowhere near, I'd argue, the calibre of Liverpool. But yeah, it's interesting. And obviously, another stat I saw was that Liverpool haven't won any of their last 5 away games against the French side in Europe. So their last win was against Marseille in 2008. So that could again be a bad omen. But I would say the difference, especially for Liverpool now with Arne Slot, is the fact that he's so versatile and that they changed their team. They're not as dogmatic in the style they play as they were under Klopp. So you're sort of looking at the fact that Klopp has apparently been unbeaten against French opposition in any major European competition, so potentially he's going to be the difference and help them sort of get out of that rut. And plus, it's only a stat; it's historic, so I think it could be different for them this time. Obviously, away against the French side. But no, if we're talking about key players, any that spring to mind, I'll go to you first. Because I've rambled.
PSG. Where do you start with PSG? Ousmane Dembele, Kvaratskhelia, Barcola.
Yeah.
Is it Decime Doué? They have a squad. João Neves.
Wow.
Donnarumma, perhaps not the best goalkeeper in the world, but he's still a solid goalkeeper.
Yeah.
They have a squad. They have a very good squad, very good young squad. Experience in there as well. Another one who, again, I think Barcelona are going to win the Champions League, but I could also see the winner of this game winning the Champions League.
Yeah, that's on my mind for sure, yeah.
And then Liverpool, Cody Gakpo, Mo Salah,
Szoboszlai,
Jota,
for sure. I would say Szoboszlai
Gravenberg,
recently. Yeah.
McAllister, the big one for me. Perhaps a little bit biased. McAllister's been fantastic in the midfield.
Yeah.
I mean, Van Dijk, Konate. Again, they have a squad.
Yeah. You've literally listed them all there. I mean, Barcola's obviously their second top goal scorer this season with 12 and 24 and 6 assists. So when you're looking at that, again, all these players in the Champions League, they tend to contribute not only with goals but then assists. So they're like a complete player, you'd say, as an attacking prospect. So Barcola definitely sticks out to me, and Dembele is their top goal scorer. As I said, Barcola second to that. But yeah, 18 goals in 22 matches for Dembele is impressive. And he seems to be scoring goals for fun. Whenever I look at a PSG scoreline, he's on the scoreline. And as you said, Doué in midfield. Don't know much about him, but he's someone who sticks out with his name is quite recognisable. And with Neves, apparently he's got the most assists for PSG this season, so 8 in 20. And that's as a CDM, correct, isn't he?
Yeah,
Defensive
he's so good.
midfielder.
He's an amazing midfielder.
Yeah, so to get that many assists as well from such a deep position is incredible because usually they're someone who passes on to someone who then puts it in. So I'd
But
argue get 8
the
assists.
roles change. The roles change now. CDMs don't really play deep anymore, do they? Really, they're advancing forwards,
Yeah, yeah.
especially in a team like PSG in a league that's seen as not the
Okay,
best
not
league there is.
yeah, yeah. Makes sense actually. I'm basing it off of my narrow-minded knowledge of sort of where Rodri splays the ball out whenever he used to, be in there. It's been a while now. But then the wingers would receive it and then potentially put it into Haaland or whoever. But yeah, so I get your point. 8 assists probably is quite normal in the French league for a defensive midfielder. But no, obviously Hakimi, Mendes as well. Incredible fullbacks. And you've got Marquinhos, who I know, again, from when I watched him against City, being a threat from corners and set pieces. He can always get a goal too. So they've got a lot of talent there.
Yeah, both teams look fantastic.
Yeah.
Stats wise, PSG 15th, Liverpool first, 13 to 21 points. Goals scored PSG 24 to 17. Goals conceded 9 to 5. Shots 135 to 102. Shots on target 66-57. Off target 69-45. Blocked shots 50 to 23. Passing accuracy pretty much the same, 89% to 87%.
Yeah.
Again, kind of even. PSG edge it a little bit, even though they finished 8 points behind Liverpool. But yeah, your prediction: who wins the leg and the overall draw?
Yeah, I think you've got to have the Salah factor as well. I know we've obviously touched on him, but I think he deserves a lot more praise, especially in the league. I mean, 25 goals and 17 assists. He tops both stats. It's just incredible. No one's getting a look in on that for obviously the Golden Boot and then I guess the top assists sort of accolade. I don't know what they call that. But no, he's incredible. But I think if you can sort of nullify him, which is a big ask, a lot easier said than done, then you can, you have more of a chance because he is their main threat, I would say. And obviously their talisman. But no, for me, I think it's tough to call. My head and my heart say two different things, but I'm actually going with 2-1 PSG this leg. That's just sort of what sprung to mind, but I'm not sure how it ends, because you don't really want to back Liverpool going out, but then I could see PSG being the team to knock them out. So, yeah, I've gone 2-1 PSG first leg.
Yeah. I think we have a Barcelona-Bayern Munich situation.
Interesting. In what way?
Who do you think the favourite for this game is?
I'd say Liverpool over the two legs, surely.
Okay, so Barcelona, in my opinion, were favourites against Bayern Munich a few years ago.
Yes, this rings a bell. Wasn't it a crazy two legs, wasn't it?
8-0 PSG.
Oh, was it? Wait,
It was
no.
8.
So that's your prediction for this game. What happened in Barcelona-Bayern? Wasn't that a really tight...
Bayern won 8-0.
No way. I believe I watched that on TV.
This leg will be 8-0 PSG.
This leg?
Yeah.
Or do you mean like over the two? You just mean this game?
This game will be 8-0 PSG.
Where have you got that from?
That Liverpool are going to crumble.
Sorry, what did you say? Liverpool
are going to crumble.
Liverpool are going to crumble?
Yeah.
Interesting. What, do you think it's the atmosphere? I don't know much about Parc de France, but I don't think it's,
Probably one of the biggest atmospheres in the world.
Wow.
Them and Marseille are crazy.
Yeah, okay, so you're saying that could potentially contribute. Why else do you just think?
I just think PSG are just going to just smash them.
Interesting. Well,
Liverpool
I would like to, see something else.
Liverpool get maybe 2 back in the second leg at Anfield, but it'll be done and dusted by then.
Yeah, I mean, you'd hope so. If they...
if not 8-0, PSG still have the game wrapped up for the away leg.
Wow. I'm going more narrow, as I said, 2-1. I still don't even back that because just with how Liverpool have been this season, and as I said, versatile under Klopp, they can work out they can work out any sort of way of adapting. Yeah. But potentially PSG might be too much for them. But
and I think Kvaratskhelia gets a hat trick and Barcola scores a couple as well.
Wow.
But that is it for today. My dinner is in the oven. I am starving after my 7-8 hour trip, 14-hour round trip the last 48 hours. But I will see you all next week. We might preview the other games next week for the podcast. I'm not entirely sure yet. We will see what comes. But thanks for coming on, Annabel.
No worries. Pleasure as always, Louis.
Really enjoyed that. And see you all next week. Adios.